welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we've got a debut on the channel which features one of those terrifying sentences in the rules. The puzzle is called Misconduct, and it's by JamNCheez. And the line in the rules that I find terrifying, it says, NB at the end of the rules, it says, a calculator is not required to solve this puzzle, which is a promise that there must be some maths in the puzzle that could, if you were on the wrong train of thought, make you think a calculator was required to solve the puzzle. Anyway, I've read the rules. It's a very unusual rule set. The basic idea is that each of the grey lines contains digits that multiply up to a total, which is common for all the grey lines. So say it was 100, then those lines would multiply to 100, this would multiply to 100, etc., etc. And yeah, that's basically it. There's some V dominoes and X dominoes in the grid as usual, but I'll read the rules properly in a minute. But yeah, I have no idea how difficult this is, but I do know it comes very heavily recommended. So this is what we're going to have a go at in today's puzzle, in today's video. Now, I will mention that yesterday was a fairly extraordinary day on Cracking the Cryptic. We released 2 videos that have proved unbelievably popular. The first one especially is unbelievable because it is a 2-hour 42-minute solve of Crux by Jay Dyer. Let me it was on Patreon for a while, and the comments were great, but I'm amazed that so many people want to see the solves of the really impossible puzzles. The ones that we have to sort of bat our heads against for hours on end. Mark is now, he very meanly, he wants me to try another, apparently it's a monstrous puzzle. I want to say it's called something like, it's a pun on Fillomenon, it's called something like Fillomenon by Darth Paradox. Yeah, apparently that's another puzzle that can take like 15 hours. So eventually there probably will be a Cracking the Cryptic video where I have to get up really early and just solve it all day. Some of you will say that's what you want. I'm not sure you really do. But anyway, there was also yesterday this, which I absolutely love. Raw Fog of War, a very good palindrome from The Peddling Pianist. This is just lovely. It's absolutely lovely. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, that's also proving incredibly popular. Looks very simple, and I'm not going to say it isn't simple. I mean, with some of the times people are recording in the comments are like, "Oh, this only took me 42 seconds to solve." Well, yeah, okay. For the absolute geniuses out there, it might take them that long to do logically. It's obviously possible to do it by guessing. It's only a 4x4, and it's Fog of War. But the if you did it properly, I think it's a lot. It's got really lovely logic, so I definitely recommend it. Absolutely magnificent Sudoku puzzle. Now, what else have I got to tell you before we kick off and solve Misconduct today? Let's go for, well, the huge news. The huge news is what's happening tomorrow on the channel when we have a new Kickstarter launching, and this is for a narrative-driven Sudoku adventure called Fog of War, featuring a story from Peter C. Hayward, Hayley Mooney's rather quality artwork, and some amazing Fog of War Sudokus by Sandra and Nala. This is going to be an event, and the idea is, this is something that will be delivered before Christmas. So it's absolutely going to be there in time for Christmas. That's this year. And yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing how it goes down. So it launches tomorrow on Kickstarter. I'll obviously talk about it in tomorrow's video as well. But prepare yourselves. It's going to be quite something. And we're streaming tomorrow as well, 10 PM UK time. We're streaming the Chants of Sennaar, which Mark's really looking forward to. Oh, there's a bit of a storm at the moment. There was an immense gust of wind there. I don't know if that will come out on the microphone, but it was, yeah, that was quite prodigious. Anyway, the other thing I want to mention is some birthdays. So I'm going to start by wishing Carlos a very happy 27th birthday. And I know it's your birthday, Carlos, because your friend Isabel wrote to us and said that you're always watching Cracking the Cryptic. And for that, we thank you and hope that you have an immense amount of chocolate cake today. Next to Denise, who's turned 33 today. And I know this because your friend Deddy wrote to us, Denise. I think you're over there in British Columbia. And Deddy described you as an amazing friend with a positive and carefree attitude that's an inspiration to all. And apparently you love to boulder. I'm not sure I know. Is boulder when you sort of climb mountains up boulders? I could be wrong. I'm not sure. It sounds very impressive if so. And your favourite animal is the buffalo. And and that allows me to share the story I mentioned the other day, which is that not a lot of people know that you can make the word buffalo into a continuous sentence made up of buffalo, 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 because buffalo is a verb and also a noun and also a place. So you can construct the most mad sentences just by stringing long strings of buffaloes together. So Denise, I hope that hasn't ruined your birthday. Many happy returns. Next, I think this person is in Barcelona, I think, and I'm going to say Irena. To English people, this looks like Irene, but I think I meant to say it Irena, who's turned 26 today. And I know this because your cousin David wrote the most wonderful email, Irena, about you. He described you as the best solver in the family, the most kind, strong and cheerful person he's ever met. And I know that you were diagnosed with lymphoma in February last year, but David said you never lost your optimism or smile, and now a year later you're stronger than ever, which I'm delighted to hear. So Irena, I hope you have an absolutely brilliant day today. It sounds like you're an amazing person to know. Now I also have to say happy birthday for 2 late birthdays for tomorrow. These came they came to me late. So Sander, you turned 25 yesterday, and I know this because your friend Emma wrote to us. And they discovered that they both liked cracking the cryptic a year after they'd actually met, when Emma travelled over to visit Sander in Norway. So Sander, thank you very much for watching, and happy birthday for today. And then Steve, you've turned 51 today, and I know this because your son Jake, who I think is only 12, wrote to us and said you'd appreciate a shout out. And the two of you solve at least one Sudoku every day together, which I think is fabulous. And I know that the two of you have completed many of our Patreon reward hunts, so that is some quality solving. And many happy returns, Steve. I hope you have chocolate cake. And that's the news. Let's have a look at Misconduct. Let's see what JamNCheez has in store and why we might need our calculator or not. These are the rules. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So that means we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and in every 3x3 box. Digits along each line must multiply to the same total, which must be determined by the solver. So that's what I said earlier. Digits may repeat on a line if allowed by other rules. So that digit could repeat in those. There's not many that digit could repeat up there as well. Yeah, no, there are a few opportunities for repeats. Cells separated by a V must contain digits summing to 5. Right, there's a few of those dotted around, sprinkled around the grid. So each of these dominoes has to contain digits summing to 5. So this could be a 2-3 pair or a 1-4 pair, basically. Cells separated by an X must contain digits summing to 10. We've got 2 of those. And NB, the calculator is not required to solve this puzzle. No calculators allowed. Well, no, they are allowed, I suppose. It's just, I guess there's going to be a way of doing it without one. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, how do you do this? Well, that is a good question. My first thought is it must be something to do with prime factors. Now, that makes me think that 5s and 7s are going to be important, because I'm never sure when I'm doing these videos and I talk about things like prime factors whether you know, if you're watching this and you don't really have a mathematical bench, you might say, well, what's a prime factor? So maybe I should explain just briefly why I think 5s and 7s might be restricted. In fact, can we do it? Let's do it with the number 100. So let's imagine that this line multiplied, the digits on the line multiplied to 100. What we can do is we can break that 100 down into its elements. It is like the atoms of a number, prime factors. So basically, the number 100, if we divide it by 2, we get to 50. If we divide that by 2, we get to 25. Now 25 is 5 squared. It's only got two factors, and they're both 5. So that tells us that the number 100, if we break it down into its minimal constituents, it's going to be 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. So these are the atoms that we've got to play with to make the number 100. We can mix the 2 2s and the 2 5s up. So we could mix we could take a 2 and a 5 and a 2 and a 5. 2 times 5 is 10, and we can multiply that by 10 and we get 100. Or we could put the 4s together. We could have 2 times 2 is 4, 5 times 5 is 25. Multiply those together, we'll get 100. But however we make up the sum of 100, or the multiplication to 100, we have to use those individual elements. Now, 5 and 7 are therefore interesting within the numbers 1 to 9 because they are prime. They are prime, and so 6 is a less interesting number because 6 is 2 times 3. So if the number that we were creating here was a multiple of 6, we could either make that up by having a 6 in the total, or 6 as one of the numbers, or we could have a 2 and a 3 because they multiply together to give 6. But 5 and 7, you don't have that opportunity. If it turns out that 100 is actually going to be a silly example, I'm now realizing, because 100 includes 5 times 5, and we can never include 5 times 5 on any of these lines because we're playing Sudoku today. Yeah, okay. But what we can do is think about 5s and 7s. I now have worked out how to place some things in this. Let's look at these two boxes together. How many lines are in those two boxes? I mean, it's a facetious question, but I think it is the important question. The answer is 3 lines. So, based off our knowledge about the atoms of numbers, if the multiplier that we're heading towards for each of these lines is a multiple of 5, so let's say it was 80. If it's 80, what number do we have to include on each of these lines? Well, we're going to have to include a 5. But we can't include a 5 on all 3 of these lines because these lines are only in 2 boxes of the Sudoku. And the same is true for 7. Imagine all of these lines multiplied to 28, for example. The number 28, let's break it down again. Divide it by 2, we get 14. Divide that by 2, we get 7. So the atoms that we need to make up the number 28 are 2 times 2 times 7, which means that if the number was 28 that we were heading towards, each of these lines would have to have a 7 on it, because we can't break down the 7 into smaller pieces. And we can't use 14 in any individual cell. And you can't put 3 7s into 2 boxes of the Sudoku. So 5s and 7s in boxes 3 and 6 are not on the line, and that means in box 3 they are there. That is a 5-7 pair. Yes. Okay, I was doing my goldfish impression. Don't take the mickey out of me. That was my goldfish impression. I was not stuck. 5 and 7 in row 3 now, I think, have to go there, don't they? They can't be on a line. Yes. And now I'm going to do 5 and 7 in column 3. Again, they can't be on any line because all these lines have the same total. Oh, I can nearly place that one in this box. That one can't go in these squares by Sudoku, so it's in one of those two. We might... No, we can't colour them. I thought we could colour them for a moment, that might have revealed... Ah, no, hang on. I might be able to colour them now. Look at this row. Where are the 5 and the 7? They can't be on lines, so they're there. And now I might be able to colour them. Let me try this. Let's have a quick go. So whichever one... So this one, you can see, is the opposite of this one. So this one must be orange. This one's going to be green. That one's going to be orange. That one's going to be green. That one's going to be orange. That one's going to be green. Now, has that helped? No. I didn't get the right pairing for this box, unfortunately. It's not bad. I know green is in one of those two, and therefore green is in one of these two. And green is in one of these two, and green is in one of those two. Okay, so green is in one of those two. Bobbins. That's so annoying. Oh, no, orange. Orange has to go there by Sudoku because it can't go on a line. So, yes, this is still going, actually. Orange in this box has to go there now. Yeah, I think this was the right way to think about the puzzle. Yeah, orange has got to go there in box 5. So orange has got to go here in box 2. I feel like I've said enough about orange that we're going to get all the oranges, and indeed we do. So it's just the greens now. How do we do the greens? Has the position of oranges we've identified helped us with the greens? Yes, it has. That's the only place for green now in box... this is the only place for green in box 5 and 6 respectively. So now... bobbins. No, this still has... I know green is in one of those two. Right, where is green in this box now? This green in the middle places the green in box 2. And this is great, isn't it? This is great. So that's green, which means that's... I know what this is doing. I think we've just placed all of the greens. And therefore, I'm going to look here. Because this is on an X. So it can't be 5. Because the X would require a double 5. So green, oh, hang on, how do I do this? Green is 7. Orange is 5. And X, to make this add up to 10, this is 3. So it looks, odd digits are all getting used up, aren't they? That square is 6, 8 or 9. That's using V's. So this V obviously is a different flavour of V to this one. So if this was strawberry, this one's got to be vanilla or something. Because imagine that was a 1-4 pair. This can't be 1-4, so it would have to be 2-3. And that means this cell here sees all flavours of 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it can't be 1, 2, 3 or 4. It can't be 5 or 7. So it's 6, 8 or 9. Those two are more difficult. What would happen if those two were the same? That would mean these two would be the same. So we'd have digits multiplying... Oh. Yeah, that's weird though, isn't it? They have a very different effect. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. So that's weird. It's not weird, it's just surprising. I didn't say her name. I didn't.
You can find setup instructions in
I'm sorry. She likes to be involved in the videos, even when you don't say her name. I want to say it must now be about box 3, where... It probably is about box 3, actually. I would much rather that this wasn't here, though. If this was just, if all of the digits were confined within this box, it's much trickier when we're doing multiplication than when we're doing addition. Because, I mean, imagine this was an addition puzzle. We could just add these digits up, divide by 2, and we would know the totals for the lines. But when you're multiplying, you can't just multiply all these numbers together and divide by 2. You very much won't get the right answer, or you're very unlikely to. I've got a horrible feeling that this is going to involve some complicated maths now. Although we don't need a calculator, that's what the claim is. Why don't we need a calculator? And what's this digit? It can't be 3 because of this 3. Hang on, let's just think about this square. Is this square the key to everything? So, but no, you can repeat digits on a line. So there's nothing about this being on this line that says it can't repeat on this line. Let me just mull this for a moment. I think it's going to be something. It's going to be something like this. It's going to be something like, if you think about 9. 9 has to be in this box on a line. And 9 is 3 times 3. So just bear with me for this. Imagine that's a 9. In terms of the atoms that that's giving us for this line's composition, it's giving us a 3 times a 3. So that means this line, to match this 9, this line must have 2 prime factors of 3 within its composition. Which could, if that was exact, no, hang on, let's get rid of the 9, let's put the 9 there, because I was seeing I couldn't make this 9. So what we could do to match off this 9 is to put a 9 here. That would be fine, these would now match off. But we could do it in other ways as well, because what you could do, well, you've got to be a bit careful though, actually. Actually, you do have to be careful. Right, because this was a good example to choose, because if we think about the other Sudoku digits that we can use in the puzzle that have as one of their atoms the digit 3, because we know that 9 is fundamentally it is 3 times 3. Well, there's the digit 6. Now 6 is 2 times 3. So imagine that was a 6. That would match off with one of the 3's that's the composition of the 9. Now the only other way that we can match the 9 is to include a 3 on this line, or another 6. So we could actually do 2 6's, but that doesn't work for an odd reason. In fact, literally it's an odd reason. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm now thinking that this square is not 3 or 6, which is the oddest conclusion ever, frankly. Yeah, because what I think I'm realizing is that we have to match off the factors of the prime factors within these lines. So whichever line we put 9 on has got two 3's as its composition. Whereas, and in this box, we've got to put 3 and 6 on lines as well. Well, 6 has 2 and 3, so 6 has got 1 3 as in its atoms, and 3 has got 1 3 in its atoms. So the 3 and the 6 have to be on, they do actually have to be on different lines to the 9 in order to match with the 9. Unless, and here is an annoying rinky-dink, this does mean that can't be 3 or 6. That could be 9. That would match exactly, and then you'd have a 3 on one line and a 6 on the other, and the 3 atoms would match off within the 3 and the 6. So, oh, this couldn't even have been a 3 anyway, I'm just seeing by Sudoku. But yeah, but okay, so what we are saying then is that there have to be the same number of 3 factors or 3 prime factors on each line. And within this box, we've got 4 atoms of 3, I want to describe them as, because the 9 has 2, the 6 has 1, and the 3 has 1. So we have an even number of factors, and we can distribute those even factors obviously between 2 lines and have the same amount on each line, which is necessary. But if we were to introduce a 3 or a 6 here, we would introduce now these lines together have an odd number of 3 factors, and that's impossible because you couldn't say have 3 factors of 3 on this line and only 2 on this line and make them multiply to the same total. It wouldn't work because they're building blocks. These atoms are not equivalent. So I'm not even sure it's worth pencil marking that actually. What does that mean? How many? Okay, well we're going to have to think about this even harder, I fear, because the other thing we're going to have to think about now, one doesn't matter. 1 is obviously in here somewhere, but it has no effect on anything apart from consuming a space. 2 is obviously the lowest prime factor that we can have. Now 2 is in the number 2. There are 2 2s in the number 4, so that's 3 atoms of 2 now. There's 1 2 in the factors in the number 6, that's 4 factors of 2. And then, oh goodness, there's 3 in the number 8. Ah, that's actually beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Right. I'm going to just double check that though. Sorry. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is to calculate the total number of prime factors of 2 that must be in these 7 cells in box 3. Now the number 2 has 1 factor of 2. So I'm not going to be able to do this because the number 4 has 2, and if I try and put 2 in, it's not going to work. But the number 2 has 1 factor of 2, obviously, or 1 prime factor of 2. The number 4 has 2 prime factors of 2, so now we're up to 3. The number 6 has 1, and the number 8 has 3. So that is 7 prime factors of 2 on this line. Now, what on earth do we put on this line, therefore, to ensure that overall we have an even number of prime factors of 2 on these 2 lines? Well, we could put 2. That's certainly possible. Because we can't put 4, because 4 has 2 factors of 2, and the total for these 2 lines would still be an odd number. We'd have 9 factors of 2. We could put 6, but we can't for a reason I'll come on to. And we could put 8. 8 is the other one that's... 8 looks like it's going to be difficult for that line, if anything, but I'm going to come back to that. So, but this can't be 6 for the beautiful reason that we calculated with 3s. If we put 6 here, it's great. It balances out the prime factors of 2 in box 3 beautifully. but it introduces a 3, which means we have 5 prime factors of 3 within the 2 lines, which we can't have. So that is not 6. Now, the reason I'm questioning 8 is that 8 increases the prime factors of 2 on these 2 lines to a total of 10, which means each line must have 5 prime factors of 2 on it. And can we get 5 prime factors of 2 on that line if you can't use 8? We could use 2, 4 and 6, but that's only 4. You can't do it. That's absolutely beautiful. It's actually necessary, unless there's another way of approaching this, that this line is here in the puzzle. Because if this line wasn't here, I think that could be 2 different numbers. But this line being here prevents this from being 8 and forces it to be 2. And now we have a very interesting question. And the question is a bizarre one. Because, I will do it. I'm going to do it, but I'm actually wondering whether you don't actually need to know the total for the line now. Because what you actually need to know is the composition of the factors on each line, and we now know that. Because by introducing 1, 2 here, we know these 2 lines altogether have 8 prime factors of 2 on between 2 lines. So each line in the whole puzzle now must contain 4 prime factors of 2 within its elements, within its atoms. And we know that in total there are 4 prime factors of 3. So each line has two atoms of 3 on it. Okay, now I am going to do the maths. So we're saying it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 16, times 3 times 3, which is 9. So 16, 9 times 9 is 144. So 144 is the total. But I don't think we need to know that. What we need to know, well, we know things now like one of these lines does have 9 on it and the other has 3, 6 on it. We know this line, which already has 1 factor of 2 on it, needs 3 more factors of 2, which means it could contain 8, or it could contain 2 and 4, or it could contain 4 and 6. So there's loads of options for this. Right. This line has a 3 on it. A 3 is one atom of 3. There needs to be 2 atoms of 3 on every line in the puzzle. How do we get an atom of 3 onto this stretch where we can't use 3 itself? Can't put 9 on. That's got 2 atoms of 3 in it. So we have to use 6. This is brilliant, this puzzle. It's brilliant. We've done a few puzzles recently where the arithmetic has been gorgeous. And I continue to believe that, these puzzles would be fabulous for kids who are interested in maths. Hang on. Right, there's something going on now, I want to say, in row 5. Because that little line there, well, it could just have 9 on it. It's got to have 2 atoms of 3 on it, hasn't it? So it's either got 3 and 6 on it. Or it's got 9 on it. Now, Is that interesting? Yeah, there is, right, okay, or a different way of thinking about that is the following. This line has either 3 and 6 on it, or it has 9 on it. It has one of those things. So if there was a 9 on this line, it couldn't have 3 and 6 on it, and they would go there, and there would be a 9 there. So within this domino, there are 2 atoms of 3, which is a weird thing to say, because it doesn't mean that's a 3-6 pair at all. It might just mean there's a 9 in one of those 2 squares. But between that string of cells, I think this, I'm overcomplicating this, it's just the way I'm sort of thinking about it, but that between these 5 cells, there are all the factors of 3, all of the atoms of 3 within the row. So these 2 digits cannot have 3 as their prime factors. So these are not from 3, 6 or 9. So they're from 1, 2, 4 and 8. And that can't be 2. This was a red herring or a blue herring. We found a blue herring. Sorry, I think that's not what we're meant to do here. If 3 is on this, if 3 is here at the top, actually that doesn't work. Right, look at this. Okay, so what I was about to say is if 3 is on the right hand line in box 3, that's a 3 by Sudoku. So because these can't be 3 because of this 3. So if there is a 3 on this line, that's 3 by Sudoku. In fact, that's wrong. Because remember that if you do put 3 on this line, you've also got to put 6 on it, because the 9 will have to be on the other side. But if this line also contains 6, and there's a 6 down here, you also have to put 6 in there, and it's not a Schrödinger cell. So it can't simultaneously be 3 and 6 and alive and dead at the same time. So so this line at the top doesn't have 3 on it, which means that line does have 3 on it. Not only that, it's got 6 on it, because we know this line now must have 9 on it to balance our atoms. So this line is 2, 3, 6, and then some other number, which we can work out. Oh, I want to say it must be wrong. That's too much. No, what I was about to say is so far off kilter, it can't possibly be right. Why won't my brain work? I think it means I've got to put 4 up here. But that, oh yes, no, I'm so stupid. I am comedy slow sometimes. Right. Okay. It is 4. So the way I was doing this in my head was I was trying to balance the atoms. I don't know why I did it that way, but I was trying to balance the atoms. And in my brain was like, well, I've got a 2 here. I knew the line overall needed to have 4 atoms of 2 on it. So I was thinking, I must need 8. And then I was doing the maths on that. I was sort of saying 18, that's 36. 36 times 8 is way too much. What's going on? And the reason I messed up is that 6, of course, has an atom of 2 in it. So I've got 2 there, plus an atom of 2 within the 6. That's two atoms of 2. I need 2 more atoms of 2. The only way to do that with 1 digit is with a 4. And that does correct the maths. So it's 3, 4, 6 here. I apologise. I'm so sorry. And this has got to be 1, 2. Well, this by Sudoku is 1, 2, 8, and 9, which is 70, which is 72 times 2, which is 144. Right, which is lovely. Okay, so that's not 4 anymore. And I'm sure that's going to be very important for the following reasons. What are those reasons, Simon? How do we do this now? I don't know. We know what this is. We know that those are not 2s. We know there's a 2 in this domino. So we know there's a 2 in one of those squares. Absolutely, it could be on this line. It probably, that's where it wants to be. Well, okay, sorry, I'm a bit stuck for a moment here. 3 and 3 means there's a 3 in one of these squares, and 6 and 6 means there's a 6 in one of these squares. So that's interesting. So we could have the 3 and the 6 down here. We've got to make sure, don't we, as well, that there's 4 atoms of 2 on this line, and we don't have 2 available. So we could have, so how could you put 8 on the line? Oh, you could put 8 with 6. Actually, you could do that. 8 and 6 would give you the right answer. Okay, sorry, that was another bad question. I'm sort of looking around trying to work out where the easy win is, if indeed there is one here. And I'm not spotting it yet. What have we got maybe here? Can we work out the other 2 digits on this line? We've already dealt with the atoms of 3, look. And we've got 1 atom of 2 within the 6. So we need another 3 atoms of 2. So one option would be a 1-8 pair. That would be very nice, wouldn't it? That would work, I think, quite nicely. I would make this a 1-8 pair. So one option here is 1-8 pair. The other way of doing it would be for a 2 and a 4 to appear here. Ah, we can't put 2 on the line. That's it. There we go. There we go. Right. So the correct question at this juncture is to check out this line and calculate how we get to the right number of atoms of 2 on it. And we need 3 more. I'm just double checking it in my head so I'm not misleading you. I think the only way of doing that is 168 because we can't use 2. Otherwise we could have used 2 and 4, which is no longer available. So this becomes a 168 triple. This becomes a 2-9 pair. Let's get rid of that corner pencil mark. This becomes a 1-8 pair over here. Now that means this line is not yet full, is it, in terms of its at the moment it's got no atoms of 3 on it. So if it was 6 and 3 it would work, because 6 and 3 would give us another 2 atom to go with our 8. Is there any other way we could do it? We could do it with 9. Yeah, if we put 9 here, you couldn't do it. Because 9 would do you for the 3s, but then you need 1 more 2. And the only way of getting 1 more 2 is either with a 2, which you can't do, or with a 6, which you can't do, because that's going to misallocate the number of 3s. It's beautiful, really. It's beautiful. You just think about the atomic nature of number. I mean, I know it's a completely, ludicrous way to think about numbers, and I apologise if I'm offending anyone's mathematical ideas, but it's just I find it quite helpful to think about it this way. So that's a 6, that's a 3, because we've worked out we can't do it with 9. So now, so this is the bad situation, although it's easier now because this is a 4-9 pair by Sudoku. So there is no 9 on this line, which means this line has to have 3 and 6 on it. Now this is only, let's actually put it across this is only a 3-cell line. So 3 and 6, so we need the 3rd digit to provide 3 more atoms of 2, because the 6 is only providing 1, and the only single digit that gives you 3 atoms of 2 is 8. So this is 3, 6, 8. Which means that's a 1, that's an 8. This square here is not 1, it's not 4, it's 2, I think. Oh, whoops. No, it's alright. Oh, goodness, I had a... Oh, my heart dropped there. That cell I was seeing couldn't... It's on an X. So if this is 3, that would be 7. That didn't work. And if this is 8, this would be 2, which doesn't work. It might, though, I think, be okay with a 6. And the reason it's okay... Oh, hang on. I made that 6, 8 earlier because of this 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple. So that still works. So that's 6, that's 3, that's 4. So this down here does include 2 now. And this, there's a 2 on this line. So this must be 1, 4, which means this is 2, 3. Oh, come on. Oh, well, okay, that's not 1. This line can't have a 1 and a 2 on it because we know that that means the other 2 digits have to sum or multiply to 72 and they have to be 8 and 9 and there's an 8 there. So that's a 4, that's a 1. And now we've got 3 units of 2, so we need 1 more. So we know there must be a 6 in here with a 3 in order to balance the atoms. It's so cool. It's just gorgeous. Now what's going on here in terms of atom balancement? We've got 2 3s in the 9 and 2 2s. We need 2 more 2s from 1. Does that mean that has to be 4? I think it does. 4. I think 4 is the only number that delivers 2 2s. Okay, well that's great, because that's correcting this V clue, which is not 1, 4, it's 2, 3 now. Okay, so that's not 3, that's not 4. And we can now... What are these 2 digits? Is this a 2-8 pair? I think it looks like it wants to be, doesn't it? And that means that's a 9. Okay, that's great. We know this line has got a 3 on it, so it must have a 6 on it. Which I don't know if I can place that immediately. But it does mean that the 6 in this column now has to go on this line down here. And once we get a 6 on a line, we know there must be a 3 on the line. And the 3... Well, there's a 2-3 pair here, so the 3 must go there. This, okay, and once this is a 6, this can't be a 9, otherwise we've totally imbalanced our 3s. So this line now, we've got 1, 2, no, we've got two atoms of 2 because the 6 has a 2 in it. So we need these to contribute 2 atoms of 2, which means we can't put 8 here. So 8 is either there or there in the row. In fact, where's 9 in this row? We can't put 9 on the line at all, so these are an 8-9 pair. Oh, in fact, we know the order. That's a simpler way of doing that. And this is a 1-4 pair in order to complete the row and the atoms of 2. So that all finishes. There's a 1 up here. I think I'm doing this in the most mad way, but I'm enjoying it. Did I actually just delete the wrong... No, I think I deleted the right thing there. That's at least something. These squares include a 4. That's a 4, that's a 9. That's a 3, so that's a 3, that's a 6. Must have a 6 there by Sudoku. Okay, and now we should be able to work out... Let's just look at this line. We need... well, in fact, let's do Sudoku. That's simpler. 1-8 for this column, which means that's a 9 by Sudoku. So that's a 9, that's a 2. So 2 goes here on this line, which is starting to build up its profile. 1, 8, 9 in the column. So 9 can't go there, 9 can't go there. So 9 goes at the top, and we're left with a 1, 8 pair, which I can see is giving me a 1, 8 pair here. So these are from 3, 4, and 6. That's not 3. We can't... Well, okay, I want to say... I think this is a 1, 8 pair. Because I need 3 more atoms of 2 on this line. And if that's a 1, of 1 would contribute no atoms, so that would have to be all the atoms. If this is an 8, I need no more atoms of anything, because I've got my 2 atoms of 3, and I've got my 4 atoms of 2, so this is a 1-8 pair. So this is a 4 or a 6. That seems to mean this is a 3. Okay, that didn't do anything. 9 here is doing things. 9 here, 1 here. And okay, what are those squares? 8 and that's 8. That's an 8-9 pair. That would be an easier way to approach the world. And okay, this line already has its two atoms of 3 on it, so it can't have any more. So that's got to be 2. That's got to be 3. This row, 1, 2, and 6. Again, we can immediately eliminate 6 from this square. It can't be 6. It would have too many 3s on too many atoms on the line that are 3 related. I'm sure that there is there's a 1, 2, 8 triple in column 2. So this is 4 or 6, and we know it can't be 6 again from its atomic values thing. So that's 6. That's 6 now. That's 3. That's 4. We've got 1-8 sort of deadly pattern at the top. So I think the only way that's going to get resolved is by fixing something down here. That's what that feels like it wants me to do. And this square in the corner is 6 or 8. Yeah, so it is this line. We've just got to make sure this line works. And, we can see it's easy. Okay, there's an 8. If we were to put 8 here, how many atoms of 2 would we have? The answer is gazillions, not quite gazillions, to use the technical term, quite a lot. So we mustn't put an 8 here. We'd have 4, 5, 6, at least 6 units of 2 on the line, and we know we need 4 units of 2. And the only way to do that, therefore, is to have 1 here, a 2 here, a 6 here, an 8 here, a 6 here, a 1 here, 2 and 8, and let's hope that does the deadly pattern at the top. I think it will. It's felt incredibly logical in my usual mad way. Let's see if it's right. Yes. Solve counter 30 in 10 days. That's a brilliant puzzle, though. What a debut. JamNCheez, phenomenal. Just phenomenally interesting to me. And it's beautiful that you can resolve this. It's beautiful that just by thinking about the sort of atoms in a number, you can exactly identify this digit. And from that, I suppose you can identify that 144 is an important number. But we didn't need a calculator at all. And isn't that incredible? We're multiplying up to 144 every time, but we're not interested in calculating. I didn't calculate anything. I just had to be able to add up to the atoms of the numbers and to allocate them to the lines, and it just solved itself. It's amazing. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Let me know in the comments if you had a go and how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. We'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.